Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Flood situation worsens in several districts of eastern Uttar Pradesh. Districts adjoining Nepal are among the worst affected. Local administration seeks army's help to rescue people. Japan backs India on the Doklam border standoff with China, says there should be no attempt to change the status quo on the ground by force. Vishal Sikka resigns as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Infosys, says distractions undermined his good work amid increasingly personal and negative attacks. Board blames founder Narayanan Murthy for his decision. And death toll in Barcelona terror attack rises to 14. Spanish police arrest 3 people, including the brother of Moussa Okbair and the man who drove a van into the unsuspecting crowd on Thursday. Well, apart from Bihar and Assam, the flood situation has worsened in several districts of eastern Uttar Pradesh on Friday. Following continuous rains, the district administration has sought the help of the army in relief and rescue operations. Districts adjoining Nepal are among the worst affected. The movement of traffic on the Gorakhpur-Sonauli road towards Nepal has come to a standstill, with the waters of Rohin River inundating the national highway. Considering the situation, district magistrate has ordered a closure of all schools till Saturday. As many as 105 villages of the district have been hit by the floods, of which 35 are totally submerged, and the villagers have been shifted to safer places. Teams of NDRF are providing food and drinking water to the flood-hit people with the help of 169 boats. At least 10 people have been killed in the floods in Assam over the past 12 hours. The latest round of floods, which began on August 10th, has seen the death of 49 people. The flood situation in Assam remained critical, displacing over 31.55 lakh people in 24 districts of the state. The second wave of floods has also inundated 80% of the 481 square kilometer area of the famed Kaziranga National Park and claimed the lives of over 140 animals, including 7 rhinos. State authorities are running 602 relief camps and distribution centers in 21 districts, where over 1 lakh people have taken shelter. The NDRF, SDRF and district administration personnel have rescued nearly 3,500 people in safer places in many districts. Well, at least 53 more deaths were reported on Friday from the deluge-battered areas of Assam, Bihar, West Bengal, where swirling floodwaters have paralyzed normal life and marooned over 1.2 crore people. Flood casualties have mounted to 119 in Bihar, with 47 more people losing their lives. The deluge has affected nearly 98 lakh people in 16 districts. Well, Japan on Friday unequivocally backed India in its position on the Doklam border standoff with China. Japan has said there should be no attempt to change the status quo on the ground by force. The backing by Japan is significant, as it's a first by a major country.
In a significant act of support for India in its prolonged military standoff with China, Japan has become the first country to openly throw its weight behind New Delhi. In a statement issued on Friday, the Japanese embassy said there should be no attempt to change the status quo on the ground by force. Japanese ambassador to India, Kenji Hiramatsu, said, and I quote, "We recognize Doklam is a disputed area between Bhutan and China, and the two countries are engaged in border talks. We also understand that India has a treaty understanding with Bhutan. That's why the Indian troops got involved in the area. We are watching the situation very closely at Doklam, as it has the ability to affect the stability of the entire region. We also believe there should be no attempt by any party to unilaterally change status quo by force, as maintaining it is very important." Unquote.
China is committed under agreements of 1988 and 1998 to respect the status quo as of March 1959. As Bhutan has pointed out, China, through construction of this road, tried to alter the status quo. There are also similar understandings between India and China on not taking recourse to force or threat of use of force to change the status quo. Once again, China is in violation of these understandings. There is very clear consensus in the past between India and China, between China and Bhutan, that all differences should be resolved peacefully. And this is the position India has taken, and China should follow that good advice given by India and Bhutan.
I think it suggests the correlation of forces that are emerging in Asia against China. Because I think so far the equation was there's just India versus China, with Japan now siding very frontally, centrally with India. It complicates, I think, China's politico-military calculus. And also I think this is a follow-on to 2x2 ministerial forum that's been set up with the United States. Because the United States has a 2x2 forum with Japan. So this is an interesting triangulation, as it were. And it's something that Beijing would have to necessarily consider in terms of deciding what it wants to do.
The endorsement of the Indian position by Japan is a significant development at a regional level, as China has violated agreements with Japan as well. Japan too is engaged with the sovereignty issue with China over the East China Sea. However, China has asked Japan not to make random comments on the border standoff, even if it wants to support New Delhi. Earlier this week, the United States called on India and China to hold a direct dialogue and resolve the issue. The prolonged standoff started in June when India sent troops to stop China building a road in the Doklam area, saying it changes the status quo at the tri-junction of the borders of India, China and Bhutan. India has also offered that both sides withdraw troops to engage in dialogue, but China has refused that option, asking India repeatedly to withdraw from the area. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Vishal Sikka today resigned as the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of India's second largest IT services firm, Infosys. UB Praveen Rao, Chief Operating Officer of the company, will step in as interim CEO and Managing Director. Sikka has been retained as the Executive Vice Chairman. In his resignation letter, Sikka reportedly said distractions had undermined his good work and increasingly personal and negative attacks had forced him to quit. But a letter released by the Infosys board squarely blamed company founder Narayana Murthy for his resignation. The board said that Murthy released a letter to various media houses attacking the integrity of the board and management of the company, alleging falling corporate governance standards. It further claimed that the letter contained factual inaccuracies, disproved rumors and statements extracted out of context from his conversations with board members. Sikka himself said in his resignation letter that he faced false, baseless, malicious and increasingly personal attacks. Sikka joined Infosys 3 years back as the CEO and MD. In the past, Sikka has been criticized for issues ranging from his salary to acquisitions made.
Difficult to deal with was the sort of the continuous, allegations and continuous noise around the same things, the Rajiv Bansal's aberration and the Panaya this and the David Kennedy that, and over and over and over again, repeating the same things, getting them investigated multiple times from different organizations. At some point you realize that this is taking a heavy toll on the organization, it is taking a heavy toll personally, and so I just felt that it is an untenable situation and I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, joining me on the phone line right now is Pankaj Misra, co-founder Factor Daily. Pankaj, thank you for joining me on the program. As far as Sikka's resignation is concerned, it was bound to happen, wasn't it? Because after months of turmoil, of months of, infighting within the company itself, this seemed to be the logical conclusion.
Yeah, clearly. And it's a big loss for not just Infosys, the Indian IT industry, because you remember when Vishal Sikka was appointed as the first non-founder CEO of Infosys, a lot of people were looking at this as an important experiment for the industry itself, because Indian IT industry has been going through a massive transformation, and they were looking for a leader from outside to help them with this transformation. So in that sense, it is a failure. And the questions are about how other Indian IT companies would attract leaders from outside to come and help them, transform.
Sure.
The other key question is, the ability of India's iconic founders to manage succession planning. We saw how messy it got at the Tata Group itself, and the conflict between Cyrus Mistry and Ratan Tata and the board. And now you pick very similar signals, in what we are seeing today, with this conflict, controversies around Vishal Sikka and Narayan Murthy, and of course the board's stand.
Indeed.
So it questions the capability of Indian founders, about how would they manage succession planning.
Yeah, you're being too kind there. It's really difficult for some of these founders to let go of the empires that they have built, really, and that is the problem as far as our Indian companies itself are concerned. But, as far as the decision of Vishal Sikka to quit the markets, or the stocks have tanked as far as Infosys is concerned, people have made their feelings very loud and clear as far as the stock itself is concerned. But, as far as Praveen Rao, what do you think his biggest challenge is going to be going forward?
I think, in that sense, it is like taking a dozen steps back. Of course, Praveen Rao's challenges are far greater because he's coming from a generation of leaders, which is mostly your legacy old world talent, which actually failed to undertake this transformation journey. So by going back to Praveen Rao, I'm not sure what future Infosys is looking to build.
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us, Pankaj Misra. Many thanks. Well, moving on now, of course, the government is looking to forge partnerships with young entrepreneurs from across key sectors of the economy to drive growth and employment in the country. But while entrepreneurial ambition is among the highest in India, entrepreneurs, especially women, face huge challenges. Let's take a look in this report.
Gender biases were among the overwhelming hurdles that Upasana Thakur faced when she founded her online recharge and bill payment company. They included a financer telling her to mind babies at home, public servants suggesting that she come with a male counterpart for clearances.
Within Startup India, the whole movement that's going on, Digital India, there can be additional ESOPs. So there could be tax breaks, it could be made easier for women to just register a company. And in terms of compliances, there could be more time given.
India has a long way to go to make conditions conducive for women entrepreneurs. It currently ranks 70th out of 77 countries on the Entrepreneurship Index. Women entrepreneurs run only 14% business establishments in the country. Most of them are small-scale units, while 79% are self-financed.
Funding, now the bankers have opened up as per the directive, but practically they are not. If you ask for 50 lakh, they'll give you 20 lakhs. So that mindset has not changed. And changing their mindset, I think the government will have to enforce that this percentage of funding has to be done to women entrepreneurs.
Limiting factors to the growth of entrepreneurship include lack of finance, poor infrastructure, and lack of requisite skills. Governments, both at centre and state level, need initiatives to realize the benefits of entrepreneurship.
There's been a big headway made, and the entrepreneurship potential of India, which was not being realized earlier, neither at the level of the society nor at the level of even the parents or the elders in the society, which perhaps even left many of the potential youngsters unaware of what they could do, is now being realized.
India needs employment creation at an unprecedented scale. It needs 15 to 20 million jobs every year to engage a growing workforce. With technology displacing existing and future jobs, entrepreneurship is the one bankable option. Pankaj Misra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now take a look at some more developments from across the country and nationwide. The Supreme Court vacated the Madras High Court stay order on the centre's lookout circular against Karti Chidambaram and 4 others in a graft case. It also issued notice to Karti seeking explanation as to why he didn't join the investigation. The Supreme Court also asked the Madras High Court to decide Karti's plea seeking quashing of an FIR in consonance with law. BJP President Amit Shah unveiled the statue of Deen Dayal Upadhyay, the founder leader of the erstwhile Jan Sangh, on the first day of his 3-day tour of Madhya Pradesh. State Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Bhopal Mayor Alok Sharma were present at the unveiling near the city's Lal Ghati Square. Interglobe Aviation-run budget carrier Indigo cancelled over 80 flights as the airline grounded more Airbus A320 Neo new engine option planes due to engines issues. Indigo said it has given suitable options to those booked on the cancelled flights. This time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. A wide-ranging anti-terror operation is underway in Spain after police killed 5 men wearing fake suicide belts in the town south of Barcelona. This attack came hours after a van mowed down dozens of people in the heart of the city. The government has confirmed that people from at least 34 countries are among the injured. Here are the details.
Terror struck Spain twice. It began on Thursday when a van ploughed into crowds of pedestrians in Barcelona in broad daylight, killing 13 people. Witnesses say the van zigzagged down Las Ramblas, Barcelona's busiest tourist avenue, mowing down pedestrians and grievously injuring over 100 people. Terror group Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack.
Yo iba entrando en la plaza de Cataluña y vi una furgoneta venir y se oye gritos y de repente mucha gente dándole, se escucha ¡ay! Y después como la gente dándole al metal al coche.
The driver, suspected to be an ISIS militant, fled the spot. Police have arrested 3 men, though the driver is yet to be caught. Police have named the suspected driver as 18-year-old Musa Okabir, who is of Moroccan origin. A few hours later, early Friday, police thwarted another terror attack in Cambrils, 120 kilometers south of Barcelona. 5 attackers wearing fake explosive belts were shot dead by the police in Cambrils. 6 civilians and a police officer were injured in the operation when the attackers ran them over in a car before police shot them dead. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy convened a security meeting with top government officials on Friday to discuss the security situation.
Quiero expresar también la solidaridad de toda España con la ciudad de Barcelona, hoy golpeada por el terrorismo yihadista, como antes lo fueron otras ciudades en todo el mundo.
The incident took place at the height of the tourist season in Barcelona. On Friday morning, many locals and tourists came out on Las Ramblas to pay tribute to the victims.
Well, I've just come out this morning to see how things are. My family are in an apartment nearby and they wanted me to come out and see what the mood was and see how people are feeling. And it looks like a city that's recovering from a deep shock.
The world has also joined Spain in condemning the terror attacks. New York's One World Trade Center lit up on Thursday night in a show of solidarity with Spain.
The United States condemns this terror attack, and we will do whatever is necessary to help. Whatever inspired today's terror attack, the United States stands ready to assist the people of Spain and find and punish those responsible.
中方对发生在西班牙巴塞罗那的恐怖袭击事件表示强烈的谴责， 向遇难者表示哀悼，向受伤人员和遇难者家属表示诚挚的慰问。
Diese mörderischen Anschläge haben uns erneut vor Augen geführt, mit welch vollständiger Menschenverachtung der islamistische Terrorismus vorgeht. Und wir haben in diesen Stunden auch gespürt, wie eng wir.
Apart from hunting down the van driver, investigators are working on the theory that the attacks in Brills and Barcelona are linked to a gas explosion at a house in the town of Alcanar on Wednesday that killed one person. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the US once again warned North Korea that it will meet any eventuality if Pyongyang launches a missile attack against it or its allies. Speaking at a news conference, US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that the North Korean regime should engage in diplomatic talks, unlike in the past. Defense Secretary Mattis said that the US will take immediate specific action in the event of a missile launch towards US or its allies. The strong statements come days after President Donald Trump pledged to answer North Korea's aggression with fire and fury. Tensions have risen in recent weeks after North Korea said it was considering plans to fire missiles towards the US Pacific territory of Guam.
We are prepared. We're prepared militarily. We're prepared with our allies to respond if that is necessary. That is not our preferred pathway, and that's been made clear as well.
Well, here's a roundup of some other international news and global buzz. Russia's defense ministry said it has successfully carried out strikes against Islamic State targets in Syria's Akerbat in Hama province. The ministry said Syrian government forces were in the process of encircling an area where they claim a large group of militants are positioned. According to the ministry, the Syrian government is extending its military advantage after recently capturing a large scale of territory from Islamic State with the backing of Russia. The US Navy will relieve the 2 senior officers and the senior enlisted sailor on a US warship that collided with a Philippine container ship in June on the coast of Japan that killed 7 Navy soldiers. Multiple US and Japanese investigations are still underway into how the Fitzgerald, a guided missile destroyer ship, collided in clear weather in south of Tokyo Bay. Ousted Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and his 2 sons are unlikely to appear before the anti-graft body for interrogation in connection with money laundering and corruption cases. Reports say Sharif has decided not to join the National Accountability Bureau investigation till the Supreme Court decides his review petition against the Apex Court's verdict to disqualify him from office. At least 37 inmates were killed and 14 officials were injured during an overnight raid by government security forces on a prison in Venezuela's southern jungle state of Amazonas. The government said it sent in special forces to have control over the understaffed prison facilities, but prisoners resisted, leading to a deadly confrontation. Venezuela is one of the world's most violent countries, and inmates often plan kidnappings and robberies from their cells. Rwandan President Paul Kagame was sworn in for a 3rd term after he won re-election with nearly 99% of the vote. Many African leaders attended the ceremony in the capital, Kigali. Kagame has been de facto leader or president since the end of the 1994 genocide. Because of the Constitution in 2015, he can legally stay in power until 2034. Well, let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with some sports news in Sports Beat. Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen won the Bulgarian Open International Series title after grabbing a victory over Croatia's Zvonimir Durkanak in the men's singles final in Sofia, Bulgaria. Sen defeated second-seeded Zvonimir 18-21, 21-12, 21-17 in a 57-minute match. He had beaten Sri Lanka's Dinuka Karunaratne 21-19, 21-14 in the semi-finals. Tennis, Sania Mirza and her Chinese teammate Shuai Peng have entered the semi-finals of the Cincinnati Masters. In the quarterfinals, the fourth-seeded pair defeated the Romanian pair of Irina Camelia Begu and Raluca Olaro 6-3, 6-7, 10-3. The Indo-Chinese partnership started well and won the first set 6-3. The second set was a tight affair as it headed into a tiebreaker. Sania and Shuai dominated the decider and clinched the victory by 10-3 to seal their place in the semi-finals. In the men's singles, Dominic Thiem beat France's Adrien Manarino and Spaniard David Ferrer got past countryman Pablo Carreño at the Cincinnati Masters. Third-seeded Thiem beat Manarino 7-6, 7-6 to move into the quarterfinals. In the other match, Ferrer beat 11-seeded Carreño 6-4, 6-4. Thiem and Ferrer will face each other in the quarterfinals. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.